I am not good at giving advice. I would even go so far as to say that I am terrible at giving advice. However, people ask me for advice quite regularly, and I feel obligated to give it. With a disclaimer, of course. The truth is, you're the most qualified person to decide what to do in any situation, because you know you and your situation better than anyone else. Especially me, because I probably don't know all of the details, or what your personality is like, or how the people around you are likely to react. Another important thing to realize is that there are no consequences for me. When I tell you what I think you should do, I'm not the person who has to accept what will happen if you actually listen to me. You do. When I was earning my bachelor's degree in psychology, I took a course on therapy. Now, I learned very quickly that I was not interested in doing this professionally, specifically when I realized that I got a lot more excited to play the patient in our role-playing exercises because I could cry on cue and it would always freak out whoever was playing the therapist that day. Oh man, good times. But one thing that I did learn from that course is that giving advice can be extremely dangerous, especially if it's given in the context of a therapeutic relationship. If you're paying for therapy and your therapist gives you advice, you're a lot more likely to follow it blindly because you assume that they're trained to tell you how to fix your problems. In my opinion, that is not what a therapist is there for, but I won't get into that today. Often, people ask for advice when they respect or look up to someone and they're interested in knowing how that person would handle their situation. But even though the person giving the advice might handle the problem in a certain way, the best decision for you could be totally different. Though I do understand that it can help to have multiple perspectives on something especially tricky. Sometimes though, I feel like people who ask for advice are just looking for an easier way to do something difficult. But personally, I've done a lot of things the hard way, so when they come to me looking for a shortcut, I feel like I'm disappointing them somehow. Like, how did I lose weight and get healthy? I started running 2 to 3 miles every other day. I started eating a lot more vegetables. I cut almost all dairy out of my diet, and I've been doing that consistently for more than a year now. How did I learn to play guitar? I practiced every single day for several hours until my fingers were bleeding everywhere for several months until I could get through a song and kind of make it sound okay. I had to build up calluses and muscles in my fingers in order to actually be able to play the chords, and I practiced a lot. I feel like people already know those answers, but they wouldn't have asked me for advice if they were expecting me to just tell them the obvious thing. The good news is, when you do something the hard way, I think you're a lot more likely to truly benefit from it. Like, you've really earned the result instead of just stumbling upon it. Maybe that's why I'm asked most often about how I did the really tough things. People notice them more often. In case it seems that way, I am not asking you to stop asking for advice. Some advice can be totally helpful, and I've been given a lot of good and bad advice in the past. I'm just encouraging you to think critically about the response you get before you take any action. Understand that the person giving you advice does not have to face the consequences of that action, and examine all sides of what might happen if you follow that advice. And if your situation is especially serious, you may want to consider seeking professional help. I just realized that I'm giving you advice on receiving advice. So meta. During my especially brief training as a therapist, I was given every possible scenario for what feasibly could happen if I ever give advice during therapy, and I would not wish those outcomes on anyone. In the comments, tell me the best or worst advice you've ever received, and I will see you soon.